Hello my fellow Retromaniacs and welcome back to Let's Read Video Games, the ultimate gaming magazine, issue 56 from September 1993. Alright, so review time. First game we got Street Fighter 2 Turbo for Super NES. Okay, so sound, music 9, graphics 9, playability 10, overall 10. It's interesting how the Game Masters gave a very low rating for Sonic 2 because it was basically the same game. Well, Street Fighter 2 Turbo is basically the same game as Street Fighter 2, so why by that logic they should give this a very low rating as well. Oh, that was Games Master. This is a different magazine, so they probably, I don't know what rating they would do for Sonic 2. But yeah, I don't think, you know, all these Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Hyper Fighting and Championship Edition, they're just like DLCs in my mind. They're not new games. There are a couple of new characters, but it's not until like Street Fighter 3 came out, you know, but the basic engine was changed. The stages were changed as well. So yeah, so if these were released nowadays, these would be called DLCs. What's different about the new Street Fighter 2? A lot. And so yeah, more balanced. Yeah, speed settings. You could just like overclock. Use Super NES and get the same difference. Yeah, 4 additional characters. And yeah, a little bit palette change in characters, but yeah. The Street Fighter 2 Turbo is even more outstanding than the original, but felt the hefty $70 price tax might be a big deterrent. Yes. If this was DLC, it would probably be just worth of $5 or $10. Okay, then we have Jurassic Park for Sega. Yeah, Jurassic Park, I think each version was different, so this is different from Super NES. There's no like, it's a side scroller, while Super NES version is like top-down view with 3D sections as well. What do you mean you haven't seen the movie or read the book? What are you, some kind of freak? I already said I won't recap the storyline. I'm sick of the storyline. Sick, I tell you. Sick. I'm sick of this opening paragraph. Edit tissue. I've read the book twice. So the movie. Yeah, I've never read the Jurassic Park book. I don't know if it's better than the movie, because the movie is already like one of the best movies ever created, Spielberg's best, along with E.T. and Schindler's List. So I don't know, maybe it's more like technical, you know. Usually books, they can have more like technical details, and also probably if they go like into the minds of the characters. They can have like psychological storytelling there, which you can't really do in a movie because one dialogue take place in their heads usually. It's just this is not the Sega CD, so it's not full motion video, so I think this is like some kind of sprite. Oh, quite bad rating. Being a fan of movie and book, Mike wanted to like Jurassic Park, but was immediately turned off by the poor controls and rush job graphics. Did they mention Super NES version? At least I'll help you kill time while you wait for the scorching hot Sega CD version of Jurassic Park coming later this year. Okay, no mention of the Super NES. It was released even later. So yeah, graphics quite poor. Sound of music. I don't know. I never played any of the Jurassic Park games. Maybe the Super NES version would be most fun. No. Rock and Roll Racing for Super NES by Interplay. I have not heard of this game. Oh, wait a second. What about Super Off-Road? Oh, it's like a maybe a copy of RC Pro M. It's not by the same company, is it? I don't think so. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is a good game because, you know, it has like very good rating. It's interesting they're telling the price, but what is it supposed to be? Because each store has probably their own prices. Maybe it's like the publisher's ask price, and then every store can have its own discount if they will have that. Yeah, there's even like information about, you can call the line and ask about the game. California, Irvine. I don't know where is Irvine. It's some kind of a Los Angeles district, I don't know. But the soundtrack is a killer, and that it's a race game with personality. Mike loved the long-term playability of Rock and Roll Racing. Oh, well, this seems quite a good game. And there seems to be like different guns and boosts, so it's a little bit like, you know, Death Rally by a Remedy, Finnish game company. Bill Walsh college football. Yeah, I'm gonna just skip this because I don't care about American football. Then we got Nigel Mansell's World Championship Racing for both Super NES and Nintendo Entertainment System. Okay. I don't think Americans even know about Formula 1. For those who haven't opened the sports section lately, British race car driver Mansell won the F1 World Driving Championship in 1992. Yeah, you would think that, yeah, Mansell was a big name in the USA because he also won the kart championship. But it wasn't that 1993, so yeah, it wasn't that famous in the United States just yet. But yeah, it's just the same old graphics. It's almost more a simulator than a game. Looking for pure racetrack experience as opposed to bigger than life entertainment as a giant mud box and 18-wheel monster stompers. Yeah, the Americans like everything being like big. They appreciate like clinical racing. Although there's obviously like sports cars in the United States, like IMSA as well, so even the hardcore motorsport fans have their own series, even if you don't like oval racing. And obviously IndyCar is sometimes I would say IndyCar is more entertaining than Formula 1. Often it is. And at least the circuits for IndyCar are usually much better, you know, classics like Road America or Mid-Ohio, you know, those tracks. FIA wouldn't even allow racing on those tracks because they're not safe enough. But they are safe enough for IndyCar, so what gives? Just to lower your standards. Cleanest and fastest NES games is Rad Racer. Spread life into the NES system. Interesting. Rocket Knight Advance. Oh yeah, this was the game I had. That was like a screenshot, but I didn't remember the name. I've been wanting to play this as well, though it doesn't seem to have too good rating. Only 6 by Mike. Had a gun battle over how good Rocket Knight is. Mike thought that it was unoriginal and repetitive, while Chris gave it the thumbs up. Feelings of original Rocket Knight offers a game felt. I don't know what the graphics are like, only 6. They look quite interesting. And you know, it's Konami game, so yeah, Konami can always be counted upon. You cannot really, even if you dig deep, you cannot find bad Konami games. Or was Bio Billy? No. Was that the Konami game as well? I don't know. At least it had good music. I think AVGN had like argument of bad Konami game. Also, well, you could say that Castlevania 2 is a bad game, and also Castlevania for Game Boy sucks, but yeah, maybe if you count those, you can say that they are bad Konami games. Baseball, don't care. Journey from Darkness, Strider returns. Oh, I see. Yeah, I've played the. Or have I played the first Strider? Was it like arcade game originally? Whoa, that was quite sexy. Is this game over? It's a game over screen here. So this is by US Gold. Only 7 general consensus that Strider Returns could have been refined a bit more before being released. Such areas as the graphics and playability could have been tweaked. Okay, so it's not like improving things from the first game. But still, if it's just as good as the first one, then you shouldn't have too low rating, because you know there's just limits on Sega Genesis how good the graphics can theoretically be, considering the cartridge space. So yeah, at some points, you know, in the later life of consoles, the graphics can easily become like dated. You know, when PlayStation 1 was released, suddenly many like 2D games felt like dated, and even games that kept the 2D look, like Symphony of the Night or Metal Slug, the graphics could be not appreciated if the reviewer had like some kind of bias for 3D. So, but I don't know. Maybe Symphony of the Night and Metal Slug were exceptions. That, you know, even the 2D wasn't like best because it was dated technology. But yeah, in the late 90s, you know, all that was 2D was considered like obsolete. Everything had to be 3D, even when 3D wasn't probably the best choice. For like Lemmings 3D never worked well, and Worms 3D never worked as well as the 2D versions. Luckily that changed, you know, around mid or early 2010s, when, you know, people started acknowledging that, you know, you can have modern 2D games and they are still great. 3D per se doesn't make any game better. So we have Final Fight 2 for Super NES. Yeah, I like Final Fight series. Remember, that was one of my first like emulated games I played, you know, back in the early 2000s. I would have a SNES, and then I would have a bunch of ROMs, and I would experience like many Super NES games for the first time, and Final Fight series was one of them. It was a nice two-player game. I played it a lot with my friends and siblings. I think Final Fight 3 is the best of the series. Playability only 6. Obviously this is a very hard game, you know, because it's based on like arcade concept, so the enemies are very difficult, and so it's easy to get game over before even reaching to level 3. Although there's probably like some kind of a cheat codes to give you unlimited continues or unlimited lives, which then can make the game feel too easy, because then you can beat it in an hour. So it was a little bit like do you want quick fun, or do you want a game that keeps you playing for months, like Zelda? Well, no, this is just quick fun. Once you have played it a couple of hours, there's not much to see. 6 continues. +1 starting credit for each player. And 5 member credit to weak enemies and lots of men in reserve. You're virtually guaranteed to win on your first try. Actually, Final Fight 2 only becomes a game when 2 people are playing. You have to stay out of your friend's way. Oh yeah, there's friendly fire. Master that technique and you'll win on expert difficulty by your second or third try. To be fair, this game may satisfy the walk and punch fans who want a 2-player simultaneous game with large characters. As much as I've liked the genre in the past, I personally wouldn't have played Final Fight 2 more than once if I hadn't been reviewing it. Yeah, although usually these reviewers are experts. If you're like a 10-year-old kid, you probably won't beat it on your first try, or on expert with your second try. Probably won't even get past the second stage before game over. You know, for example, in Street Fighter 2, I never could beat the game in normal difficulty, only the easiest difficulty, or hard difficulty. So I never saw those like ending screens, and I always wondered when I listened to the music test that what those weird music tracks are that you can hear. But yes, those are the ending cutscenes for each player. But I never saw those because I couldn't beat the game in required difficulty. So yeah, you always have to keep in mind that not all players are pro like these reviewers. And I still suck in video games. But thanks to save states and rewinds, I can at least now finish games without getting stuck in the first level for eternity. F15 Strike Eagle 2 for Sega Genesis. Oh, I thought these like simulator games for Microprose were PC only games, because you know they had like manual of 1,000 pages, and like they required all kinds of combinations, and each button on keyboard was used. I guess this is like simplified version. Look at that picture. After ditching 3 very expensive planes, you are given a desk job. Game over. That's funny. Although I would rather take a desk job than risking my life. At least I will see old age than die in a plane crash. But that's just me. Strike Eagle's graphics, not only are they poorly detailed, they lack even sufficient simplicity for a player to clearly tell enemies' targets apart from one another. Star Fox. It's a game field sized down 50% to speed up the action. How about a game where the main action occupies roughly 40% of the overall screen and seems to still move slowly? Yeah, because you know Genesis couldn't do 3D polygons, so it was probably too ambitious game for Sega Genesis. It's also unfortunate that the good translation of the PC Strike Eagle games has been unable to make its way to either of the 16-bit machines. Well, just stick with the PC then. Thought the game was a bit dated. Except the controls responded too slowly. Yeah, I've never been a fan of these flight games, flight simulators, or fighting games. You know, even Star Fox is not among my favorite games because it's I don't know. It's just just not my cup of tea. The only games I really like is Microsoft flight simulators, because you know there's no action. You just have to take off and land safely, and then you can look the sights and vistas. So it's a relaxing game. But yeah, these fighting games are just, you know, if you don't know how to play them, you get killed immediately. Terminator 2 by LJN. Oh my, it's a bad sign. Super NES. No Dimension. I don't think LJN was like famous before AVGN. No one noticed their repeating pattern of LJN games being sucking ass. Very average, very forgettable. It's a decent game but hurt by subpar graphics and lack of continues. There are no passwords and no continues. Yeah, I know how much fun most people have playing through the same level 398 times, but exceptions rules. Passwords probably would have made the game too easy, but one or two continues perhaps earned by superior performance score. Yeah, this is just unacceptable, that you have to play the whole game in one sitting, and it's not like Atari 2600 game. So yeah, I don't know. I hated those games on like NES that didn't even have password system, although I don't think I had too many games that did that. I think I had To the Earth light gun game for NES. It didn't have any password system. You had to beat it in one sitting. And obviously the first Super Mario games also didn't have a save feature. But you know, even that game with at least with warp zones you could beat probably in less than 15 minutes. So that's, but you know, a game that takes at least a couple of hours to finish and not having any saves, it's just you force the player to play this opening levels over and over again. It's very annoying. We have Bart's Nightmare for Sega Genesis. I think I played this, but I've already forgotten everything about it. Mike originally liked the Super NES version, but wasn't jazzed by this Genesis card. Chris, on the other hand, thought that it was a carbon copy of the original. It's interesting that they have two reviewers. It's probably more like a objective system then, because if you have just one, like, you know, maybe like platform hater or Sonic hater, then he would probably have some kind of bias against some game. So it's always good to have more than one person to say their opinion. Cool spot for the Super NES. I have played this a little bit on my channel. I should continue. I think it was it wasn't too like original or interesting, quite average, but still I like the graphics. They were very neat, you know. They had their own style, which I always appreciate. So it didn't feel like just some shovelware game. It's just you can see that they put some effort on the graphics. I thought the game mechanics themselves were quite boring until unless the game gets better. Yeah, 11 stages. The graphics are gorgeous. Yeah, I agree. Lots of charisma and personality here. Chris commented he also thought that in some ways it was better than the Genesis version. Like I said, it was certainly cool. Yeah, I think it's you could say that it's a licensed game. But yeah, Virgin did the Aladdin game, so they really knew how to have a refined platformer games. But yeah, it's well, maybe I should play this at some point, you know. At least it's like summary game in the midst of winter. It's probably a nice break. We have CES highlights, Nintendo FX tracks, Super NES early screenshots. Yeah, sometimes these include like beta or alpha versions of some games, or games that eventually were cancelled. Sonic Spinball. Was it eventually be Sonic Pinball, or I don't know. Crash and Burn for 3DO. What else do we have? There's no mention of Donkey Kong Country yet, or Super Metroid. Yeah, action. Wheel of Fortune. Cyber Dreams, Cyber Race, IBM. Acrobat. Oh, that's the Koopa from Super Mario Bros. Movie, which I have never seen. I'm thinking that I would do a reaction video where I watch the first Super Mario Bros. Movie with Bob Hoskins. Toe Jam Earl, Sega Genesis, Winter Olympic Games. Yeah, what year? This is 1993. There were no Winter Olympics. There's only like Albertville, Lillehammer, 1992 and 1994 respectively. What else we got? Arcade Capsule, Beauty and the Beast for Super NES. That game sucks. Race Driving. Speed Racer. Wolf. Yoshi. When was the Mario Teaches Typing game where Charles Martin made his debut as Mario voice? I think it was already like 1991 or 2. it's interesting that you know, just that 1 gig, then he was like made the official voice for Mario. They could have easily just ignore all the PC games and have a new voice for Mario, for Super Mario 64. You know, because you know Hotel Mario has different voice acting, so it wasn't like Charles Martin was already the official voice for Mario in early 90s. It's just one of the many. The Dig, yeah, this is one of my favorite games. I played it not too long ago, but I wasn't streaming. You know, I started this channel in 2014, but then I kind of paused for a couple of years when I played some other games, which I didn't stream. Super Empire, Super NES, Clay Fighter, Dracula Unleashed, Aladdin, Labyrinth. What's this game? Never heard of that. NHL Hockey, Last Action Hero, Castlevania Bloodlines. It's a good game. Mad Dog McCree for 3DO. Jeez. They were ready for a treat with that Jaguar for Super NES. It's like, oh my god, Lester the Unlikely. It's one of my favorite AVGN video reviews. What is he, humping the air? Have you ever seen a video game character that disobey your controls? Shockwave 3DO, Sega CD Firehawk, Bugs Bunny for the Super NES, Sunsoft, The Fighter, IBM, Star Trek Next Generation. Yeah, interesting selection. Not the best games ever. All the like RPG games were missing. This Cavern Hunt. Okay, I think that's a good game. The Addams Family. It's interesting they didn't release a official Addams Family the movie games, even though the movies were very popular. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take a break here and continue reading the rest of the magazine later. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.